Here are the 13 reasons why sales producers don't sell powerfully every day. And with each of these reasons, there's a group or an area that they belong to, there's a specific diagnosis or a specific reason, and then there's a prescription to address it. So in the area of the job position, sometimes people don't sell just because they don't have to. It's not required that they do it. So of course the prescription is to require it for the position. And this really comes down to a conversation that a lot of agents have a hard time with, is they can't decide if their salespeople are supposed to be generalists. Like let's say if they have 4 team members, they can't decide, well, do I want 4 generalists? Because gosh, 4 generalists, maybe that makes it easier for them to hit the life health goals versus 2 service people and 2 salespeople. If a person's truly going to be a salesperson, and if they're not selling, well, then they're not really a salesperson, and you might need to take a look at that. The second area has to do with pay. Some people just don't need the money, or they're not really motivated by it, and you need to align the compensation to address that. So it might be that they're motivated by things such as paid time off or vacations or stuff like that, or it just might be that they just outright don't need the money. They're making enough money somewhere else, and you might have a tough time with that. If there's not a big enough opportunity, well, then you need to create that opportunity. For the past, 11 plus years, I've been helping agency owners create these sort of compensation plans that get their team members excited to perform at high levels. And every once in a while, maybe about 20 to 30% of the time, we'll find a team member that all it really took was there was just a huge opportunity put in front of them and they start performing. So that's very relevant. Now let's look at the person. And by this we mean the salesperson. Some people just don't care. And there's really not a whole heck of a lot you can do about that. You just kind of need to move on. And what I mean by that is some people are just really in it for the base salary. They're in it for the benefits. They could care less if they're selling insurance, if they're selling widgets, if they're, whatever. It doesn't really matter to them. Second thing, and it has to do with the person, is if they don't use the product personally, they need to be able to walk the talk. And so what I mean by that is it's not a sin to simply not have insurance, but if you're in that field and you're telling people they need to have certain products, and if those products are relevant for you, you need to be using those. If you're not the type of person who's going to walk the talk, if you're not the type of person who's going to do what you recommend to other people, you're not going to be a powerful salesperson. The next area, which is so often overlooked because it's made light of, or it's said, well, gosh, this is meaningful work and sure, whatever, and let's move on and let's sell some apps. The producer needs to value the work they do. Selling insurance can be a very cold, dry, boring, meaningless, shallow, money-only pursuit, or it can be a very meaningful vocation where we're helping people take care of their family, make sure their loved ones are okay when tragic or tough events happen. And so the person needs to be able to align with that higher vision or that higher purpose of the work, or they need to move on. And by the way, if you're listening to this and this whole concept of purpose doesn't connect with you, I'd encourage you to take a look at that of, why is it that people really come to you? Do they really want a piece of paper, or do they want to know if something happens to them that their loved ones are taken care of? If that's not talked about, very often with males, we get a little sensitive about talking about what we call touchy-feely stuff, but if you don't get into that conversation, you're losing a lot of the power of what you do, and especially with a lot of team members, they're just really not interested if that's not there. Similarly, if they don't believe in the product, again, they either need to align with the product or they need to move on. Now, a lot of the times, belief in the product has a lot to do with knowledge of the product. So very often team members don't really understand the product and they say they don't believe in it. Or I'll hear a lot of team members say, well, wait, I don't believe in life insurance because sometimes agents or team members during a life promotion just sell things for the money. And my answer is, well, of course, there's people in all sorts of professions that do things just for the money, and some people do it for a deeper reason. Some people do it without at all caring about the client. Some people are totally committed to the client. You decide who you want to be, but plain and simple, if you don't believe in the product, if you don't think it's going to work, that's going to come across to the client. If you're not excited about it, if you're not really passionate about wanting to help them, they're going to see that. And, who are you going to buy from? Somebody says, hey, here's the product, you want to buy it? Or somebody's like, hey, this can really help you. It can help your family, and let's talk about how we can help you make sure you guys are taken care of. Then there's perspective. And this is an area that really sums up why people come to us. One of the things that people come to a professional for is perspective. So, give you an example. I know I can go online and buy something, whether it be insurance or whether it be some sort of really technological product like a piece of software or something. But a lot of the times I might say, you know what, I don't want to make the mistakes. I don't want to make a $500 or $1,000 error or a $10,000 error. Your clients need perspective, and so there's a few pieces to that, and a great salesperson needs to have that. So first of all, they need to understand where the product fits overall. If it's life insurance, okay, it goes in this part of the plan, or here's where it's relevant to the client. And if they don't understand that, they have to learn the context. They have to understand where it fits in the big picture. And this is where you go into different sales styles or learning styles. Some people are more focused on details. Some people are more focused on big picture. Well, part of perspective is big picture. Without that, a lot of clients will miss out on the sale opportunity. Then the exact opposite of that, or the flip side of that, is they don't know the details well enough, and they need to master the policy information. And so that's more of the detail piece. So very often, you either have people that are really great with the details and not as great with the sales process, or you have people who are great with big picture talking and they can have great conversations, but they don't know the details. Both of those are necessary. And then finally, they don't like the product. Now this might sound a lot more like number 7, that they don't believe in the product, but I'm talking specifically about where a person says, well, you know, overall I like life insurance and I believe in it, but our specific product is missing this one little feature, and the product over this other company has that feature, and so I'm not going to sell our product because I'm going to do the client wrong. And what people have to understand is, number one, something is better than nothing. Of course, a client having some life insurance, even without every single feature, is better than nothing. Number two, you're not always going to have every feature. But number 3, really the biggest piece is, if something's missing from the product, there's a lot of things you can do. Number 1, you tell your company, hey, we need this feature. Number 2, you disclose to the client, hey, this is a feature that some people find valuable, and we don't have that particular feature, but here's how we work around that, and you might have a strategy for that. Or if it's just something where you believe that, gosh, they just do something better and their policy is worth more, and I can't control the policy that I offer, well, you can create more value and make your overall situation worth more. So again, that perspective of just overall understanding the product and presenting it in a huge value way and understanding how to do that is very relevant. The final piece is the most overlooked piece because it requires work. Practice. So some people don't believe that they can sell, and first thing that needs to happen is they need to make a commitment that they're going to be a great salesperson, or they need to move on. That commitment has to be there. The commitment comes before the mastery. No professional athlete woke up one day and found out they're a professional athlete. They first decided to commit to being great, and then they did the things that got them to being great. So many people don't believe they can sell because they've never sold before. Well, that makes perfect sense. If you haven't done something, it's reasonable to believe that you might not be able to do it. But when you mix this with the next 2 here, they might not know how to sell. Well, then they need a proven process. And this relates to number 11. Once you start learning how to sell with a proven process and you see it's helping people, that makes it a lot easier. And then 13, you need to practice that process. So that role play and the practice, the thing that so many people are philosophically all about, yeah, role play is great and practicing is great and, let's do it. But very few people do it. And again, whether you're, an actor, let's say an A-list actor that's making millions of dollars per year or millions of dollars per movie, do you think they just read the script once and go on stage and do it? Anybody who's ever listened to sales tapes, or if you ever studied under a coach or something, you might get their audio tapes and think about it. How many times did you listen to their tapes until you were able to really present in the way they were doing it? And this is not about going word for word on a word track, but simply understanding the context. So there needs to be that practice as well. Otherwise, there's not going to be the great results. So these are the 13 reasons why sales producers don't sell powerfully every day. And in some form or fashion, if you want to have consistently successful salespeople, these are going to need to be addressed. Hope you got a lot out of this video. Just a reminder, if you go to insurancesalesmastery.com, you can sign up with your email, get the most current coaching videos, presentation slides from many of the videos you see, and other free tools to help you and your team members help more people, sell more stuff, and make more money. So again, this is Wade Galt with Insurance Sales Mastery. As always, we look forward to helping you and your team members connect personally, to live powerfully, and sell deeply. Thank you.